Yeah, I mean, I was watching...
I don't think it'll be his last fight, but I think it's definitely his last chance at top gold.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Thurman talk a little bit of trash to Pacquiao, and everybody talks trash to Pacquiao when they fight. I make fun of him, he's short, he's little. They all say that, right? So he's used to that. He always smiles and laughs. I saw Pacquiao different on this one. I think he got a little bit offended. Because he was like, who's this young buck think he is? He doesn't know who I am? Like, I really, based off that interview, I really felt like Thurman, the way he was talking trash about Pac, that he's really underestimating him, bro. And the closer I get and the closer I watch this, both camps, I have Thurman as the favorite, but we'll see. Hopefully I won't pick an upset. You know what I mean?
Talking about old guys, to the other combat sport that we follow, Chael Sonnen.
Oh.
After losing to Lyoto Machida in Bellator, officially retired over the weekend.
They're just dropping like flies, huh? Lord.
It's the changing of the guard, man. I mean, it happens about every 10 years.
Lyoto Machida is pretty old too.
Lyoto Machida, he
still got a few years.
He has another 5 at least.
He was one of my favorite MMA fighters because of his karate background. He was so unorthodox and would throw so many people off.
Still is. But I'll tell you this, man. He's so much of a better fighter now than what he used to be. He's so much more well-rounded. His jiu-jitsu is better. His takedowns are dope.
Is his stance still crazy?
It's still crazy, but more than that, to me, even though he's not in the UFC anymore, he's more secure in the type of fighter that he is. It's weird, I know, fighting is a young man's sport. Mm-hmm. Once you have a couple L's, people tend to forget about you. But I've always been a fan of the guys who keep doing it after they lose. Because all of a sudden it's like, I taste defeat, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world, now I get to learn. And they usually come back better. And do I think that Machida has another run left in him? Yes. I mean,
he was the champ for a while.
He was a champ.
UFC, yeah.
He was a champ. And he could be Bellator champ too.
Who did he beat back in the day? Rashad Jones?
Rashad Evans.
Yeah, Evans, sorry.
He knocked him the
fuck out. I remember that, bro.
He knocked him the fuck out. So it was one of those things, man, where Lyoto Machida, he went on this crazy streak in the UFC, and people kind of, and the UFC is kind of the creme de la creme of MMA. Mm-hmm. Everybody kind of knows that. Mm-hmm. But Bellator is up there too. They have really good talent, and I think that Machida, especially the way he looked this last fight, I think that, yeah, he has a cool little run in him. There's supposed to be a light heavyweight tournament going into 2020. So maybe we'll see him in that tournament, see how he does, which means he'll fight guys like Ryan Bader and a couple of the other guys in the Bellator roster. So, but back to Chael Sonnen, man. Dude's been around a long time.
That name sounds very familiar.
He's the guy that lost to Anderson Silva by triangle a couple years back. Remember that guy? Last minute triangle?
On the ground?
Yeah.
Was Silva on his back? Okay, I think I remember that one.
Yeah, so Chael Sonnen, guys. Chael Sonnen, if you don't know who Chael Sonnen is, just look him up. He's probably one of the best trash talkers in MMA. But for the people that know him, I don't know him personally. I know people that know him. I don't know him personally. I've never met the guy. He is one of the most outstanding guys in the sport. He talks all kinds of trash, but he's the guy that everybody respects. He's the guy that everybody says change the sport into where you can make more money.
He's a pioneer.
He's a pioneer because he went from, he's not the best, but he's fought the best. Mm. He's talked himself into fights that he knew he couldn't win.
And the best respect him after fighting him.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude's been around since the early days of the UFC. So this guy, before he was in the UFC, he fought for WEC. He was one of their main champions. Then the UFC bought out WEC, and since he was in the UFC, he fought 15 fights with the UFC. Fought guys like Matt Lindland. He fought guys like Anderson Silva, Brian Stan, Vanderlei, Rich Franklin, everybody. John Jones. You look at his resume, he's fought the who's who
Rich Franklin was a beast.
of MMA for the last 15 years, and he finally decided to hang it up. And if anybody should have been champion, but didn't get there,
not once.
He fought for the title, just couldn't capture it. Couldn't have been this guy. This dude, I mean,
he's the Dan Marino.
He is the Dan Marino of MMA.
Ah.
He is the Dan Marino of MMA. People might call him the Lance Armstrong of MMA because in the dirty days of the UFC, when they started testing for PEDs, he was one of the guys that had an exemption. And then TRT. Oh, you don't know about that? I'm gonna have to teach you about that. Bro.
Yeah, let me know.
That's a whole other podcast. Right. So he tested hot for PEDs one time. He did have doctor authorization to take testosterone, but even if it's doctor prescribed, it's an illegal substance.
So any T booster is illegal, even the one that you buy in GMC?
Yes. For competition. For competition.
Why are you not allowed to? I mean, it's a...
So it's not, and it's not even set by the UFC. It's set by the...
So is creatine a performance enhancer?
If it's tainted. So depends on the company that makes it. So certain companies are banned because of their affiliations and distributions of testosterone. So you can use creatine, but it has to be by certain companies that do not handle testosterone.
If football was like that, everybody would be freaking under
fucking 200
pounds.
pounds.
Creatine is just one of those deals where off season everybody takes it because freaking you get swole.
Creatine it's okay. Like I said, creatine is fine. Protein is fine too. Even weed is legal in the UFC, or weed is legal to take in the United States for performance. It's fine, but
performance weed.
Trust me. Did you know Adderall is also a banned substance in sports in the United States?
I did play better smack when I was legit playing basketball than what I did because I guess I could see that.
So, he was one of those guys that took some of the biggest L's for the guys now. He got tested hot early. Even when he tested hot, he didn't deny it. He was like, "Yeah, I took it. This was prescribed by my doctor. I know the rules. I know they changed recently, but I know the rules. I should have been off of this by the time this rule came into effect, but I still chose to take this." He owned up to his blemishes, but even after that, people still loved him because he was so honest with the public. He's the kind of guy that if he finds out that somebody he trained with lost a fight or was suspended and he couldn't make money, he'd write him out an anonymous check and send it to the guy. Like Chael Sonnen is what you want your kid to be modeled after. On the win, lose, or draw, he's just such a humble guy. Can't speak enough good things about the guy. I mean, I don't know him personally. I follow his YouTube channel. I'm a huge fan of the guy. Do I agree with his analysis all the time? No, of course not. But as a fighter, as a person, the dude did it all in the sport. Respected. He has a huge future as an analyst and as a commentator for ESPN and Bellator. But man, happy retirement, Chael.
Will be missed
for sure. So, what do we got next, brother?
Yeah, man. So let me see here. It looks like we go through this issue in life. Whether it be work, whether it be at home, it's leadership, right? It's such a crucial trait or personality or character that individuals have or do not have, and it can really affect the people that are around you, especially in sports, right?
Okay.
I mean, life in your work environment, it can really... Having a certain leader where you work, it can really wake up every day hating to go to work or wake up every day and motivated and loving to go to work.
Amen.
And like the characteristic of a leader to you, what do you think it is?
Two things. And my idea of a leader has changed recently. And I'll tell you this, both from personal experience and two from knowledge. And what's changed that, honestly, is a book I read recently, which is actually sitting on my desk here, called Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership.
There's something about a leader that it's not that he's the most qualified or even the most inspirational, right? To me, the guy that the leader, male, female, that is the most important trait is somebody who's able to own the situation. Does that make sense? Like own the situation. Know that he might not have all the answers, but it's like we're gonna make chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's the way I look at it. Like that's the kind of leader I want to follow. That's the kind of leader that I'm willing to submit under. I don't need him to be the most capable. I don't need him to be the most he or she to be, but lead within their role and make. Yeah, I don't have everything, but let's do it from here, from right here. Lead from this position. I think that's the number one trait. And then this book, Extreme Ownership, and it's almost by the title, it's like own yourself from your position and lead from that position.
Yeah.
Of course, knowledge, mentorship, all kind of goes into it as well. But experience. But more than anything else, if you don't have that moment within yourself to own that situation, no matter what it is, let it be in the corporate world, in ministry, in podcasting, in sports. If you don't own yourself and extremely own that position, we both play football, right? Mm-hmm. You have your assignments in your position, right? You play defense, right? Mm-hmm. I play defense. And I'm assuming you played linebacker, right? I played outside linebacker. Not outside, I played outside lineman, DN. Right. I know my assignment. My assignment is hit the B gap as hard as I can, go after the ball. Your assignment is to come up off my ass after the ball. My assignment is to hit the gap. Mm-hmm. Secondary assignment is after the ball. Your assignment is off my ass, read your running back. So the reason defenses in football fall apart is because people go into business for themselves. They don't own their position. They try to own this. I get it. Playmakers are important, but playmakers in any aspect of life own their assignments to the extreme. It was like, oh, I'm not supposed to even touch the ball in this position, but I'm going to own the shit out of this assignment. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Yeah. I don't need to know what you're doing. I don't need to know what you're doing. All I need to know is what I'm doing. If coach says, if I have to hit this gap hard, I'm going to hit this gap hard. Period. Yeah. Period. That's where leadership starts. Yeah, there's inspiration. Yeah, there needs motivation. But before all of that, it's that. Owning it to the extreme. For me. What about for you?
I like the football analogy. Even as a linebacker, I played strong side. And once, my senior year, a really good friend of mine, Buddy Diaz, he started on the games. And he was 6 foot, all of 245 pounds. Hell of an athlete. No offense, brother, but you were dumb as a bag of rocks. He wouldn't know the assignment. He'll freaking hurt anybody that will get in front of him. Which is
a good trait, don't get me wrong.
Whenever he would mess up, they would put me in there. I'm 5'9", I weighed $160. The balls that I had was to stick my nose. My mentality was I'll stick my nose anywhere for the team, right? I knew my assignment for the most part, and I would definitely do what I can. So and as a linebacker, you were also assigned to shoot gaps, and it was tough because you facing on a fullback, you're facing on a freaking guard that's pulling. It's tough. So I hear you on that, man, and it's selling out because you're selling out for the team. But for me, I'm gonna say it's similar, just a bit different. And instead of from a football point of view, I'm looking at it because my career has been in sales, and it has been in about 3 different industries in sales, and each industry